Okay, hi Mike, it's Ben here, and this is my video submission for the difficult conversation that I had over the break. There is going to be a creepy light that pops up. That's just my iPad, but just disregard that. Anyways, so I had this difficult conversation with my dad, and my dad was born in 1967, and he, for the most part, like didn't go to post secondary college. He's just kind of like your working class guy, and yeah, and like just as a little bit of background, like going into this assignment, I kind of just assumed like, as most white dads are, we don't really, I don't know, I don't really talk a lot about like, don't talk about this stuff with my dad. Sorry. So the initial response that I thought I was going to get is kind of a bit of like racism and just kind of like bad comments, right? Anyways, so I basically just started this conversation off with, do you think residential schools are bad? Or what do you think of them? Or did you learn about them in school? And his responses actually were really interesting to me, actually. And unsurprisingly, my dad had indicated that there was no education at all about residential schools, nothing formal for sure. And he, and I quote, said, everybody knew about them, but nobody, like did anything about them. And I said, well, did like people know that they were bad? And he said, yeah, we knew. It's kind of like the monster under the bed, like they knew about it, but they didn't want to like really dive into it. It wasn't really their problem. So that's kind of the way that my dad approached it, it seemed like. It was also really interesting because, unsurprisingly, again, one of the answers I kind of expected is something that he said. He did say that he was like, oh, residential schools, like they had to educate them. And I was like, in my head, I was like, what do you mean? And then his answer was even more surprising because he said it actually benefited Indigenous leadership, and it then like helped them further their self-governance battles and just some of those things that are going on right now, which he for sure didn't explain it in the right way, but I could tell that his thoughts were in the right place. And anyways, I just won't go over the conversation anymore, just because, if you want to hear about it more, I can. But it was just really interesting because I assumed that my dad was kind of cold and maybe not so, like wasn't going to give the best answers, but he actually gave like quite a bit of insightful information, and I was really surprised. And I think that speaks a lot of truth to kind of just like what we even talked about, right? Like,